What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Sidelines To Stock Lines. We're here today talking about some kind of one-hit wonder fantasy seasons and predicting who could possibly be that one-hit wonder player this year. Hey, maybe they're not a one-hit wonder, but just some guys who, whatever the situation was before, didn't have a great season, absolutely blew up, and then came back down to earth. First one I want to bring up is kind of the classic one-hit wonder season. 2013 Josh Gordon, man. Dude had 1,646 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns in just 14 games. I honestly couldn't even tell you who the quarterback was for the Browns that year. I'm just throwing out some names that sound right, maybe like Brandon Weeden, Brian Hoyer, maybe Brady Quinn. I have no clue, to be honest with you. So the fact that he was just out there having a killer season with some no-names, it's pretty impressive. Kind of a shame that dude liked the weed a little bit, and that kind of derailed his career, but still, legendary season, man. And kind of a sleeper guy that I have in mind who can, maybe not 1,600 yards, right? But, cross 1,000 yards, have a nice, touchdown count on the season. Ironically, another Cleveland Browns wide receiver, Isaiah Vaughn. I know it's maybe an odd one just because they did draft 2 receivers this year. The quarterback situation is kind of up in the air. But, from what I saw last year, I mean, this isn't really saying much, but he looked by far the best receiver that the Browns had. I know it's not much competition when Jerry Jeudy is the other notable Browns receiver, but I mean he was making Shador look pretty good on some of those throws. He caught a few deep balls that were pretty nice. So I'm an Isaiah Vaughn guy, and I mean looking at his season last year, just pulling up his stats. He had 54.7 PPR points. So, again, the app is going to be in half PPR, so a little bit different. But if you buy into Isaiah Vaughn, you're getting him at, 50 VC. Very cheap. I mean, easily if you're just trying to fill up your roster slots, a great pick.
Right. My one-hit wonder, Peyton Hillis, 2010 with the Browns. 270 carries. 1,177 yards, 11 touchdowns, 477 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns, and Colt McCoy throwing in the ball for 8 games. Pretty good season.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, in that season, he was above Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, and Chris Johnson, and then kind of fell downhill after that.
Yeah. Isn't it like he didn't crack like 600 yards like any season after that?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But his highlights from that year are totally awesome. If you haven't watched any 2010 Peyton Hillis highlights, you're missing out, man. You need to check them out. And again, it's like there's these random seasons from the Browns where they have a player that just pops off and looks awesome, and the rest of the team just kind of sucks, right? But I totally, if I was playing fantasy back then, I totally would have taken the bait and probably drafted Peyton Hillis in the 3rd or 4th round, and then got totally just
thinking
boned for the rest of the season.
It doesn't work out that way.
Come on, guys, he was the Madden cover, right? Like, the Madden curse.
Well, the Madden curse.
No,
that does happen.
Listen, Iceman, Caleb Williams, he's gonna get past that.
He's gonna break the curse.
Yeah, he's gonna break the curse.
I'll go one-hit wonder for this season coming up. Isaiah Likely. Reason being, going to the Giants, you have Malik Neighbors coming off an injury, which, starting back this season, Cam Scadabo, he's coming back off an injury. So I think Isaiah Likely and Dart might hook up with, some short cross routes. Yep. I think he's going to look at him because, he's been in the league for some years. And now after this season, I think with Scadabo and Neighbors getting back into the routine, and even kind of towards the, middle of the season, once they start getting the rhythm, I think that it might take away from Likely, but I think he's still going to be Dart's go-to in this season.
I agree. I think Isaiah Likely's primed for a good year. I think they're going to play him a little bit more in the slot because he is a bigger body, but I think, he's going to beat out Theo Johnson for tight end 1.
Yeah.
And then with Neighbors coming off an injury, they lost targets with Wan'Dale Robinson moving to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of vacated targets in that offense.
And I think he's gonna pick up a lot of those targets that are, that are vacated.
And he looked good in Baltimore.
I was just gonna say I really liked him in Baltimore, and he performed well.
Yeah, like it wasn't like he would have been like, I don't know what the success would have been having him in like a best ball league where it doesn't really matter what the week to week looks like. But I know like every year he's got like 2 or 3 games where he just absolutely tears up for like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he has some of the best catches as long as he gets that toe in bounds, right? He has some of the best catches, right? And then he just is like eliminated from the scheme. I don't really know what the deal was, but I agree. I think in New York he's gonna probably at least start the season as Jackson Dart's primary target.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about sleepers, a couple years ago, Isaiah Likely was my 5th round dynasty sleeper, and that paid out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a big Isaiah Likely fan.
Me too. I like him. I'm a Steelers fan, but I liked watching him play with the Ravens. I did.
You like that he's out of the division now.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. Yeah, which I support him more now. I'm a bigger fan, but I did like watching him play.
Yeah. So you got Mikey.
So my one-hit wonder, he's just a guy that if he wasn't in the NFL, he'd just be ripping darts, working construction, and that's the boat. Blake Bortles. 2015, Blake Bortles, 4,428 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 18 picks. Finished fantasy with QB4. The boat was unstoppable. He had a couple good years in there. I mean, he's no 30 for 30, but the boat had a good year. My player I think is going to be like the boat this year, who's going to be kind of that one-hit wonder, will be Kyler Murray. I think Kyler's primed to win that Minnesota role. He's got Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and Justin Jefferson. He's got a crazy amount of talent. Kyler showed with Nuke when he had DeAndre Hopkins that he can ball, and he's not afraid to sling the ball down the field. He also can use his legs. I think you'll see Kyler Murray primed for at least 1, maybe 2 more good years in fantasy relevance before he has to move on. But I think Kyler Murray is my sleeper, my one-hit wonder going into this season.
I can get down with that. I mean,
I think he's got something to prove.
Oh, for sure.
Coming over and trying to battle out that role with a younger quarterback. I think he's got something to prove.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with what the QB battle looks like there, but I guess news is coming out that he's having a hard time adjusting to the new scheme since he's sharing those first team reps with JJ. But I think as we get closer to the season, we get into training camp, I do think he's got to win that spot out. Like, even if they're like, okay, he's not great, he's got the rushing upside, he does have the big arm to him. Whether he can play on time or not, that's a different thing. But it's got to be better than last year was.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, you could get him at a discount, right? Because he
only had 80. He had 80 points last year, so you're gonna get him for $80.
Yeah.
Going
very cheap.
Yeah, cheap
so
price.
That opens you up to get a Jamar Chase or a Bijan Robinson, a Gibbs. So I like that. So my next one-hit wonder guy, you guys remember Justin Forsett?
Justin Forsett.
Kind of had a crazy season. 1,266 rushing yards with 44 receptions, 263 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. Finishes the RB8 overall with 221 points. And then after that, he broke his arm and kind of just washed away. But as far as kind of that sleeper running back who can, just pop off all of a sudden, I'm kind of high on Rachaad White. I'm not gonna lie. I think I think Washington has a pretty decent O-line. They've definitely been working on improving that, bringing in Laramie Tunsil. They've spent a decent amount of draft capital over the last 2 years to get more guys on the line to protect Glass Boy, Jane Daniels. So I think, and I mean, who else is there in that backfield? They don't have Chris Rodriguez anymore. They don't have who did they have 2 years ago? Brian Robinson. Bill. He was kind of a little bit of a letdown last year. I gotta admit, I was a Bill truther, and